Hi, I'm Randy Robison. This is Life Today. Thank you for joining us. I have Lacey Buchanan here with me, and she's got a book called Through the Eyes of Hope. And if you look closely at that cover, you'll see that her son that she's holding there has, well, I was going to say an issue with his eyes. He has no eyes. Is that right?
For the most part, yeah.
Thank you for being here. Explain that just so we get a little background as to what you've had to deal with, and then we'll get into some of the details.
Sure. Christian's diagnosis is called Tessier cleft lip and palate, and his cleft was extensive enough that it basically clefted his eyes. So he's totally blind. He's had to have a lot of reconstructive surgery on his mouth and his face so that he can speak, so that he can eat. He's had 7 surgeries so far, and he has many more ahead of him.
Now, how old is he now? This is January 2017. How old is he now?
He's 5. He'll be 6 next month.
Okay, 6 in February then. Mm-hmm. And he's had how many surgeries?
7.
7 surgeries. So he's a regular with the doctors.
Yeah. Yeah.
Other than that, I mean, he's a normal little boy. Yeah?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Very typical.
Okay, there's so many how do you deal with these questions, right? Well, let's start at the beginning. Mm-hmm. When he's born, you count the fingers and toes, right?
Yeah.
And you're going, something seriously wrong here. Mm-hmm. How'd you get through that?
It took time, and it took a lot of inner wrestling, inner struggle, I think, between me and God. I had to work some things out. I went through a time of grief. I just remember standing over Christian's little incubator in the hospital and just crying over all the lost hopes and dreams that we had for him. And we went through a series of anger. God, why are you doing this to me? Why are you doing this to this innocent child? Why are you doing this? Why are you letting this happen? So we had to be honest with ourselves about those feelings and emotions, because God already knew what we were feeling, what we were thinking, and a lot of talking to God about it and letting Him work things out in our hearts.
Did you get any good answers?
Yeah, I did. I stopped being angry. I stopped grieving when I came to the realization that I wasn't being punished. God wasn't smiting me with a child with a disability. This child, Christian, was a gift. And so I kind of tell people, don't discredit the gift because it's not in the wrapping paper you wanted. Mm-hmm. And so I had been so focused on the wrapping paper that my gift had come in that I hadn't even realized that he was a gift. And so, I came to the realization that Christian is a blessing and that it's an honor to get to be his mom, and that I'm blessed that God chose me to be his mom, and that I don't want it to be anybody else.
Full disclosure, I got 4 kids. I've never dealt with anything close to this. I have friends with children with everything from, Down syndrome, autism, the whole, lots of challenging things. Mm-hmm. And as a parent, I mean, I feel thankful. I feel fortunate.
Yeah.
But do you ever see having a special needs child? Do you see it as a burden?
No.
Because I can tell you, those of us who don't, we think, I don't know if I could do that, because it seems like a burden. Mm-hmm. And I don't mean that in a cruel way. I just mean it's enough work to have your own kids. Mm-hmm. Yep. But to have to deal with the 7 surgeries in 6 years and all the other things. I mean,
well, it's not easy, and it's not always fun, and it's not always pretty. But a burden, it is not. And, I feel like a burden is something that you don't want to have to deal with, or, it's just, it's a negative thing. And even like for us, when Christian's laying in a hospital bed and he's just had surgery and we're all, worried about him and we're scared and he's scared and, he's still bloody from the surgery. And, those are hard times.
Yeah.
But they're never a burden because there is nowhere else I will be. Mm-hmm. You couldn't pull me away from that hospital. I decided a long time ago that no matter what he had to go through, he was never going to go through it alone, that I was going to be right there by him. And I have another son who's typical, and I decided the same for him. And he's not had to go through as much as his brother, but what he does have to go through, he will never go through alone.
That's huge. You were advised to not keep Christian. in the womb, yes?
The doctors had never mentioned abortion to me, and a lot of people have heard, oh, the doctor said to abort. Our doctors were wonderful. They knew that we loved this child and that it was not an option. And it's so funny. Abortion was so far removed from mine and my husband's perception that when somebody did mention abortion, Christian was 3 months old at the time, so the point was moot. But the first time we heard it mentioned, it was almost a shock to us. Like, that was an option, that was a choice, because it really wasn't for us. And so the first time we ever heard about abortion, it was in the tense of Christian should have been aborted. And he, like I said, he was 3 months old at the time.
And your reaction to that was?
Jaw drop, biting my tongue for a few minutes, taking some deep breaths until I could formulate a response. That was
graceful.
Graceful, yes.
Yeah, gracious, maybe.
Yeah.
Mine would not be.
Yeah, it's hard sometimes.
At the same time, and now I want to focus on you a little bit. You're a, what do you consider? What do you call someone who's a lawyer?
I call myself a yet to be practicing lawyer.
Okay,
yeah.
So you have your full degree. Mm-hmm. How many years of schooling was that?
I went to a 4-year program.
4-year program, and you did those while you were raising Christian, as a young child, which, hard enough to do, harder to do with a child who has no special needs. How the heck did you do it with a child already? Like, because your other one, how old's your other one?
He's 3.
So you had a child during all this. You had a special needs child, and then you had another child, all while getting your law degree.
Yes.
How in the world do you do that?
I am a glutton for punishment. No. A law degree was something I really, really wanted. And, I tell people who are thinking about going to law school, I'm like, man, you have to really want it.
Yeah.
Don't even try it if you don't. You have to want it. And I also wanted to be the best mother I could be to Christian and to Chandler, his little brother. And it was a whole lot of work. It was a whole lot of not doing the things I wanted to do and doing the things that I knew that would pay off later, delayed benefits. And it was just a lot of nose to the grindstone getting it done because I really wanted it.
A lot of women struggle between having children or having a career.
It's hard.
And in the Christian world, a lot of people would maybe, if not outright say it, at least give the vibe that you kind of got to choose between one or the other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
You got it all.
Yeah, I don't agree. Yeah, I'm proof. You can be a mom and be a good mom, and still chase your dreams. Sometimes we have to delay them. It took me longer to get through law school than it took me 6 years to get through law school through a 4-year program. And I had to give up doing it at the pace everybody else did it. I had to be okay with doing it at my pace and learn, doing it in 6 years is still okay, and I'm still getting my degree considering everything else that I'm juggling. And, I had to kind of let go of some of those standards of what other people have set up and realize that, I can still do it. It may not look like the way everybody else does it, but I can.
Good for you.
Yeah.
A great example. Yeah. Are you going to use your law degree to deal with maybe advocacy for those with special needs? Is that
That's
intention?
exactly what I plan to do, yeah. Okay. So I've lived it. I've been there. I already know what these families are going through, what their legal struggles are, and I just want to hold people's hands and walk them through it. I remember the hopeless feelings that I had at times trying to battle the red tape and the insurance and those things that were just so overwhelming and so scary for me before I had a legal education. And I want to walk people through that and let them know it's going to be okay.
Well, I think you should just reform our entire healthcare system. 'Cause it's hard enough. I mean, it's hard enough for everybody who doesn't have a special need. You had to go to certain hospitals and pursue doctors. I'm sure it wasn't all in network for you.
No, not at all. Yeah.
Good Lord. Okay. Well, bottom line this thing for me. Someone gets the book. What's the message they're going to get?
If someone reads my book, this is what I want them to take from it. We are all going to have the worst day of our life. It may look different for everybody. It may not be a special needs child for somebody else. We're all going to have that rock bottom time in our lives. And I want people to know that sometimes what we look at our situation and we perceive the death of dreams and the losses. And when we put that in God's hands, He turns those into beautiful new adventures and things that we could only hope and dream for.
Good stuff. I know you have a lot of videos. Where can people go find out more about you, your book, see some of your videos, see some of Christian?
Yeah. So you can check out more about the book at eyesofhopebook.com. Christian and I are on Facebook at Lacey and Christian Buchanan. We're on YouTube. You can just search Lacey Buchanan, lots of fun videos of him. And the book is sold wherever books are sold.
Excellent. And there's more from Lacey if you want to hear it. She's on the broadcast show of Life Today. You can watch that at lifetoday.org. Thank you for watching and sharing this interview. Be sure to check out the social media for Life Today Television, and you can connect with me on Facebook and Twitter. And if you haven't already subscribed or followed this channel, do it now so you can see more of our great guests.